guys, it's Yolz and welcome back to my channel. We have to probably rush through this Q&A because we have load shedding soon, and number two, my battery seems to be like halfway through. But anyway, that ain't your problem, girl. You here for the Q&A. Let's get straight into it. If you do enjoy this video, you know what to do. Give it a massive thumbs up, comment down below, let me know if I've answered your question, and if you've got more, leave it in the comment section below. And of course, do not forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We are over 86,000 subscribers and I am feeling so grateful. I am honestly shook at how quickly we grew from 81,000 within the same month. Okay, we've grown over 5,000 new subscribers, so welcome if I haven't said welcome to you. But yeah, road to 100k, we are coming for you, so do subscribe if you haven't already. Mwah. Hey there, it's Yolz Channel. So we're gonna start off with the questions that were asked on YouTube. I put a question block on IG as well. Yo, first question. From Palesa. So, okay, you're doing the right thing already. That's a very easy way to answer it. The best way to deal with year-end fatigue is to actually plan for something. Obviously, it's not easy to just take a break depending on where in life you are at. If you're a student, at least you've got holidays to look forward to. If you are working, put leave in and actually just plan for a holiday. Even if you're putting leave for a week in November. Okay, November's almost finished, but it's like Christmas and New Year's week, those are not holidays. Busy big days. You're not resting. Okay, so if not those days, plan a holiday at the end of January. One way of dealing with year-end fatigue is starting the year, the new year, feeling super rested and actually just feeling re-energized. But you actually have to prioritize rest. Plan your first day, your first 2 days as rest days. You actually need to rest, because the one thing I always find myself doing is coming back from a holiday and feeling like I need another holiday, because there were so many activities, you know. Obviously with planning a holiday, make sure that you are budgeting right. Make sure to fit in things like traveling, food, meetups and all of that. We can all think, oh, okay, I'll spend 3 grand. Break that 3 grand down. What am I going to use it for? What's my budget when I go out, so that when I'm at a restaurant, I know not to order over 500 rand. You know, especially if you know you're splitting the bill with a friend, for instance. But if someone's going to take you out, girl, let them take you out. To save a buck. And that's just when I'm traveling on a budget. If I'm with Hubs, he knows he's got the food, I've got the activities, so that's how we split it. It's so much easier that way. Like for instance, Santorini, Athens, we basically planned it in a way that the whole Athens trip, flights and everything, we both split those costs in terms of like the travel agency and getting there. And then Santorini, I sorted out our accommodation and our flights, and he sorted out the food, the activities, and we basically split it like that. I think we also booked like a 4-wheeler. He sorted that out, so anything when we get there, he's paying for everything else. Okay. Well, for me, honestly, I'm still dealing with this, because I'm a very social person, but over the past 2 years since my father's passing, I just found myself more socially anxious. I think also COVID played a big role as well. So I don't go out as much, but I psych myself up. I'm like, okay, for the next 2 hours, Yolz is going to be on, you know, and it's only going to be 2 hours. I do not shy away from being the first person to leave. I'm not a party person. I've never been, and I'm not going to change myself because of the social setting, you know. Also, be able to read the room. If you have psyched yourself up and this is becoming overwhelming, be able to actually say, if you're going out with friends that know you, at least, that it's like it's time to go for you, or you just want to step out for some air, take a walk, you know. I do this a lot when we're with a lot of people, and a lot of people that I don't know, where I'm just like, oh, let me just go exploring on my own, or with Fezzy if it's families, you know, or if it's my husband's friends, I'll just grab one of the girls and be like, oh, let's go check things around here. It really helps calm me down, because all of a sudden I'm just like, how do I own the space? I think the one thing about anxiety is the fear of like the unknown and the future. So try and own little pockets of the space that you are in. things like, you can say no. You can take a walk and just like step away from the social situation. There was a situation where I felt like somebody was just being super rude, and to other people, not to me, and I just wanted to not speak out because that would be Yolz, the normal Yolz, because in that space I felt like nobody knows me like that. So I just stepped away, but not in a rude way. I just stepped away for a bit and then came back, and the conversation had changed already, so I felt more calmer, and I was just like, okay, cool, I'm good. But when it was time to go, I was ready. I was just like, I'm out, so psych yourself up. But I don't even know if that's a good tip, but that's what's worked for me so far. I think the biggest thing for me is like, I draw strength from the word the word of God. Who does he say I am? First things first. So that's one way of me boosting my confidence. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I serve a God who absolutely loves me and literally gave his only begotten son to die for me. I do not owe anyone else anything, because the one who truly loves me gave his life up for me. The other thing is, when it comes to negative voices, who is speaking? Because there are definitely hierarchies out here, okay? Is it my husband saying any negative words? If it's him and it's knocking down my confidence, we're gonna address it. Is it my mom? Is it my siblings? If it's anyone outside of my closest circle, my best friend, it's really gonna take a huge rock to knock me down, because you don't know me like that. So anything you say or do to me in a negative way is not really gonna have a huge impact, because you don't know me. You're not part of my safe space. It's when my safe space is torn apart, or when my safe space doesn't feel safe anymore, that's when my confidence is really knocked down. And I won't lie, I value security and safety in that way, and those people give me that. So it's when those dynamics are broken where I feel the least confident. I really hope that helps. And then the other thing, in terms of like social media and comparing myself, I don't do that. I don't compare myself to other people. I am who I am, and that's my power. So I find my confidence in like just knowing who Yolz is. The other biggest thing, which I mentioned in my previous vlog, is self-awareness. It's so important to be aware of who you are. You don't have to be the best at everything, but if you know what you're good at and what you're not good at, then you know what to be confident in and what to not. So if I'm not confident in XYZ, I'm not going to participate in it, or I'm going to participate in it only in a safe space. Always understand your power, your strengths, your weaknesses, and find and build confidence in the things that you know you are strongest at. Therapy has helped me at least see how I've made my decisions and the basis thereof. So I now have to just take a step back and see and evaluate on whether or not I'm making this decision. Is it trauma based, the decision that I'm making for today, or is it because I'm objective in making that decision, and being okay with it if it is trauma based. Like, my key deal breakers are very trauma based. Like, security is key for me because I didn't have that for the longest time, and my mom created that for us as a single mom. So yeah, well, that's trauma built. And then things like financial independence and financial freedom, because when we left from Mpumalanga, my mom said even if we live under a pipe, that definitely set a tone for young Yolz to never even have that option. Not for myself, not for my family, not for my child, not for anyone. And hence why I bought my first property at 22 and made sure my family never ever has the option. My brother and my sister never even have that inkling of not having a home. Again, that was trauma built. So I now understand there are decisions that were made purely from a space of like trauma and a place of like, I never want to go back to that because that's part of my past and I want to leave that in the past. But then there are good decisions from my trauma that I really appreciate, like the way of my thinking. My circumstances don't define who I am, and that is what pushed me to do more and achieve the things that I have at this young age. And in terms of confidence, I've always been very confident. In fact, I'm very grateful for my father, who at times it's been seen as a negative thing where like I was always compared to my dad, but he was very outspoken. He was very much like who I am. I think I get a lot of who I am from him, and I've always seen that in a negative light, but therapy has also helped me see that that's a positive for me, because I've built my career on my confidence. Get me into a room with anybody and I'm gonna own that room if I need to. Now I know as an adult, read the room, know your place, and take the seat that you need to. If you're the host, it's your space, host it, kill it. Yeah, well, if you're a guest, take the place of a guest, and also be welcoming in whatever space that you're in. So I know my place now, and I think I never understood that, and therapy also helped me to see that in that light. I also didn't always see my dad in a positive light, but just before he died, I had told him that I forgive him, and that wasn't therapy. That was me understanding and accepting that he was there for a purpose in my life, and if I need to move forward, I need to break the chains of unforgiveness that were holding me back from a lot of things in my life, like blaming him for certain things that are actually my fault. Instead of calling myself accountable, you'd rather say, oh, I'm blaming it on my father for leaving me and making me a parent to his kids. Yeah, but whereas yours, you are still accountable for your own mental health. You needed to prioritize rest when you didn't. It's not your father's fault, it's yours. Yeah, but I can't say that it doesn't exist, because traditionally the hierarchy that you're talking about, those influences are still getting work. Yes, they are. Are they all getting work because of merit and good work? No, that's life though. That's life. They'll always be a teacher's pet. They'll always be a favorite. So that's okay. But there are also a lot of agencies who are constantly looking for new faces, constantly serving brands who don't want to use the same people. I lost a deal recently, and at least the agent was very clear and honest with me in saying that they want to use people they've used this year. I know I reached out to you, I pitched to the brand, they do like your profile and they'd like to use you in future, but to end of the year they don't think you're a good fit because no one has seen you with the brand this year. So we'd rather use somebody who's been with the brand from the beginning of the year. And that's not my fault, that's not that other girl's fault as well. She's been with the brand, and that most of the time the brand approaches her in the beginning anyway, so that's okay. No one's gatekeeping anything. This is somebody who was willing to give me a chance, pitch me to the brand, and the brand said no. So it's a catch-22, but yes, there's both sides. I do think some agencies are really good at having a database of 20 people but only using 10 consistently, but they would not call them ambassadors. They're not going to put exclusivity clauses in their contracts, which is where I think shady labo, and that would be real gatekeeping. But then there are other brands who work with an influencer for 2 years, and thereafter they make them an ambassador and they pay them proper money and they're exclusive. That I commend, because that's what you deserve. That's not gatekeeping. So I teach this in my classes, but basically in your content settings, where you see your content, yabona lagne dashboard, content and settings and monetization, all of that, YouTube has now moved playlists to content, and I don't know how else to show you this. I might put a screenshot here, but basically there's a section where you need to click playlist and create those playlists there. That's how you can group your vlogs, you can group your fitness videos, you can group your chatty or money videos, whatever the case may be. So one of the things that you can do is become a digital marketing consultant like I am. One of the things that I do is actually help YouTubers grow their YouTube channel, which I stopped like now because we're full for the year, so I'm starting them again in January. Basically one big example is Undibuo. We sat together last year when I started my consultations, and she was one of the people who basically came to me and was like, okay, how do I do this? I whipped up my ebook, which is still in the works right now. It's still not live, working on getting it live, and we grew her channel as well as her profile on social media. Okay, so what I do is basically teach her how to grow on social media, how to leverage on who she is by dividing her content pillars, creating a personality behind that, putting that out there on all social media platforms. So I think she's got now over 50,000 followers on TikTok. She's got over almost 40,000 followers on Instagram, and she only started her Instagram on the 10th of January. I remember that because I forced her to. She was like, you need Instagram to start making money. And she made her first deal within the first month of her starting her Instagram profile. So that's what I do. but that's just a case study that I love putting out there because she's a star student anyway. And then the other thing that I do is consult companies. So I create content for clients, corporate clients. I advise. The other thing that you can do is actually work for agency, where you are the one giving briefs to influencers between the brand and the influencer, you the middle person. The other thing that you can do is create content for other brands, okay? Shooting content for other brands. For instance, Revlon, okay? They use a company that actually shoots their videos for them and creates the content for them. So you're still on social media, but you are not an influencer per se. So I'm maintaining right now. I haven't been on the scale for a minute, but I love the fact that my eating habits have changed. My nutritional view on food has changed. So I eat better, I live better, and I understand the balance part of things. I'm not as consistent at gym anymore, but again, that doesn't determine my weight. My weight doesn't fluctuate as much now because like I eat very similar things almost every day, but I'm not a meal planner type person. But I will do a separate video on like a fitness update. Just keep creating. If you're gonna create about makeup, create about makeup and add your personality. I've always said this, people come for your content, but they stay for your personality. Who are you while you're creating makeup? Are you eating chicken while you're doing that? I've made this example over so many different years. So yeah, find who you are and translate that in your content. Jeez, this is hard because I wouldn't call it that. There have been friendships where someone is like, nah, she's jealous of you, bro. All the friendships that I've had, I've always been the one kind of just being like, let's address this situation, or let's end it. So besides my one, maybe two, besides my high school and primary breakups, the ones that I've had in my like mature version of Yolz, I'm the one who's always just been like, this relationship is over because of XYZ, or I'm the one who's like, let's address this. If we can't fix this, maybe there's no future between us, you know, in friendships. But jealousy was not one of them. I don't think so. Although there are people who would diagnose some of the things and be like, nah, she was jealous or he was jealous. But no, I don't actually feel that way. But I also wear my heart on my sleeve a lot. So I also get hurt a lot, which is why that's usually my reason for leaving a relationship. I'm burnt out already. I came back to YouTube and I mentally prepared for it though. I know November's super busy on the influencing space. It's also very, very busy in general with like a lot of events. It's a very busy month, and then I added my series between takes, and then I added Sunday vlogs. So I knew going into it, it's gonna be crazy. But I just prayed that there's harmony in all of this, that I find rest. Something is going to lose, someone is going to lose. So now that I'm filming, I'm missing out on Sunday time with my family. I'm filming on a Sunday because Saturday I try to rest. Last week Saturday I was working. All the Sundays in November I've been working 7 days a week. Something had to give, something had to lose. So I don't necessarily believe in balance. I do know if you're prioritizing something else is going to only get 10% because something else is getting 90%. But as long as you know and you're mentally prepared for it and you prepare the people. So I do obviously say to my husband, you know what, it's going to be a busy weekend. He already knows, okay, that means he's taking care of theirs. Yeah, and then delegating as well. So getting a helper, making sure that someone is here. There are times where we're not home, so I'm not trusting enough for my helper to come and work on days we're not here. She's amazing, so we can't do that. But on days where she is here, I milk it. If we need to go out for a little bit, I know she's here to clean. But while she's with Fairs, we've had things like running around, doing our errands while she's here. But like next week, we've got a spa day, so I've asked her to stay a little longer because me and hubby need time, given the fact that it's been a very imbalanced November. Someone else asked how I managed to get out of the rut that I was in, and I think that's such a crucial question. The biggest thing was prayer and just taking time off. Taking time off officially did mean that I had to announce my going away and leaving YouTube for a while. And I still know that that's still like, people are still side-eyeing me about that. Even though y'all won't say so, I know that side-eye. I know a few people who've actually been honest enough to say, well, yeah, they were side-eyeing me. I needed to officiate it loud enough for myself to hear it because I never took a break. I was off YouTube, but I never took a break on YouTube. So I needed to do that so that I can actually focus on healing. So I would wake up and not have that little voice saying, you need to film something. The voice was saying, how do I heal from this? Can I read about people who've been through this? Can I actually read a book that's gonna snap me out of this rut? Can I do something that I've never done before? Can I take more longer walks? Can I give myself the grace to just be Yolz? If I am ruggedy and looking a little bit scruffy in the mall, let me be. And I really allowed myself to do that for a good 2 months. So, and if I wanted to cry, I just cried. Hey, I've never cried so much in my life, but I did. This year and last year I cried the most. I did a lot of that, and it really helped release everything. I can't really also say everything, because there are days where I just like, oh, I wish I could just call my dad, you know. He'd have a joke for me. He'd say this and that in this situation. So, and Fezi reminds me a lot about my dad. There are things he says, like a lot of like the way he says I love you reminds me of my dad, because my dad would do that a lot, you know. So instead of resenting him, I celebrate him in that. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, part of my healing now is just sort of trying to view things in a different light and seeing gratitude in everything. I'm so grateful for the 12 years that I had with my dad. I used to hate the fact that people would say I'm the favorite. Now I love it. Now I'm grateful that I was the favorite, because he probably told me the most out of all his 30-something children that he loves me, and he called me a lot. You know, there are times where I ignored his calls because I was upset with him. And I was angry, and I was dealing with a lot of like unforgiveness, but I'm glad that I did, because when I did forgive him, I knew when it was time for me to pack my bags and go and take care of him. Those last 7 days, 8 days that I spent with him, my inner Yolz knew I had already forgiven him and let go, and I was ready to now heal. And I wish it was longer, but I'm grateful that I had that time. So that's how I've dealt with grief, and looking at different situations where I would really regret and see time as like, oh, I wish I had more time. Instead, I'm like, no, I'm grateful for the little time that I had. I'm grateful for the time that God gave me with him, you know. Gratitude really changes your mentality. Like, it's total mind shift. I can't explain it to you. You gotta live it. But yeah, those who get it, please leave hearts there and say I get it, because yeah, I think the best thing that I did for myself was switch friends, and friends who were in my class, friends who were smarter than me, friends who were challenging, very challenging in the way that they thought, and they challenged me to stretch myself in my thinking. They never gave me the direct answers. They always made me search for the answers. And if I had started with those friends from the get-go, I would have actually passed with cum laude. Like, straight, I can tell you now, because I got all my A's when I was with them as friends. We were part of a study group, but also they were Christian, and we prayed before and after we studied. We prayed before every exam. We took our books, we spoke to them in like using the word of God, you know, and saying things like, you are not greater than me, you are not greater than my God is greater than you, so you will not conquer me. I have already conquered you in my head, you know. And using scripture to pray, those are the people who really taught me to use scripture when I'm praying. Remind God of his word, because he's not a man that he should lie. Every word that proceeds from his mouth shall accomplish what he has sent it to do. It will never return to him null and void. So now, like, those for me are the friends. You know, I know it's just a simple question, eh? But honestly, that was life-changing for me. University was really where I encountered God. Like, I got saved a year before, but I found him and encountered him there. That was my Paul and Saul in Damascus situation for me personally, because I really fully understood who I was in him. And in that, I succeeded in every single thing that, I can easily say every single thing that I encountered in varsity, I conquered through Christ alone. So I hope it makes sense. But pray your way through, and study. Put in the work. Faith without works is dead. Faith without action is dead. So now that you're going back, do it better this time around. If you got B's and you got A's back then, get A pluses now. If you got 60s, stretch yourself to get a B and a P plus. You know, if you got subs, no subs this time. You know, like, honestly, it's worth it. I used to say no degree, no sleep. So, no degree, no sleep. We work here. I don't know what anyone else is talking about. University is about work. Yes, you can play, but play with friends who know the difference. When it's time to work, it's time to work. When it's time to play, it's time to play. Because in first year, the friends that I had, we were just playing. That's it. All we knew was play, play, play. There was no dividing time for work. So do the right thing. And yeah, pray while you're working, have faith while you're working, sow seeds, and you will reap those benefits. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Give it a massive thumbs up if you did, and of course comment down below. Do not forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We are on the road to 100k, baby. Bye.